I'm excited to be here with everybody today. As Leah mentioned, we're going to be taking a look at one of the apps that integrates with QuickBooks, QuickBooks Online, and we're going to be taking a look at Method CRM today and taking a look at it for your business. Just a little bit about me. My name is Valbon, Val for short. I do education here at Method. And if you wanted to tweet along with, tweeting at QuickBooks and Intuit, and if you wanted to include myself or Method in any of those tweets, feel free to do that here today as well. Just a little bit of information about me. The agenda today is going to be, as Leah mentioned, pretty short. We're just going to focus on three major areas within Method, right? And we're going to spend about 40 to 45 minutes inside of the Method product and taking a look at how this can work for your business and integrate with QuickBooks. And we're really going to focus on introducing Method CRM, Method for your business, and then some considerations for customization. So this is an area that I find kind of exciting near the end because it opens up the door for so much more than just what we're going to show here today. So for those of you who don't know too much about Method, we are a CRM. So that stands for Customer Relationship Management. And what we're really doing here is this is an area where we can keep all of our information about our customers in one place. So that's the typical need for a CRM. Now, the one that I like to focus on here is that word relationship, right? So we do keep information on your customers and your contacts. And I know that Intuit's QuickBooks product, specifically QuickBooks Online, does a lot of that as well. But as a CRM, we're really trying to nurture the relationships with all these individual contacts and really kind of progress things a little bit further outside and above and beyond just what QuickBooks can do. And QuickBooks does a great job at being that accounting platform and that kind of small business platform as well. And what Method will do is just add and extend to a lot of those features. So we often get the question of, why Method? Why Method as a CRM? And we're going to focus on these kind of areas within the presentation today. With Method, you can streamline your business. So we're going to take a look at an example of from lead to repeat and anything in between. So with a CRM, you're actually able to not only take care of your current customers, but you're able to gather and acquire potential customers, take a look at their information, nurture them to becoming a customer, and really manage that relationship from the moment that they become a potential customer, prospect, or we like to call them a lead, to everything in between, all the way to the end of their lifetime with you as a customer. The second here is QuickBooks Sync drives efficiency. So a single powerful view of all of your data in one place. And when we say single powerful view, we're really talking about our integration with QuickBooks. And we're going to focus on that a little bit more on the next slide. We are talking about taking a look at your accounting information that's coming from QuickBooks, as well as your CRM information. So all that additional information that we have for your customers and your contacts in the CRM solution. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, Method's customization engine. So you can actually adapt your CRM with Method as your business evolves and keep tweaking and modifying it, so you're never really outgrowing the combination of these two solutions, the accounting from QuickBooks and then your CRM from Method. So with all this, your business is more efficient when QuickBooks syncs with your CRM. You got your CRM and QuickBooks information all at your fingertips. That seamless sync with no double data entry, and it's designed specifically for QuickBooks accounting. So we're very proud to say that we are a top-rated CRM on apps.com, but we are designed specifically for QuickBooks users. And we work with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. So for those of you that are out there that are, still have some customers or perhaps yourselves using QuickBooks Desktop, we do work with that as well, but we're going to focus today on QuickBooks Online. Not too many slides left in my presentation because I wanted to spend a lot of the time showing in product, what we're going to be going through today. But I do want to take an extra 30 seconds or so to talk about what makes our sync special and our integration with QuickBooks. So a few points here. It is a real-time sync with QuickBooks. So what that means is any information that is in QuickBooks Online or any information that is in Method CRM will sync and maintain that sync in real time. So you don't have to wait for a batch sync. You don't have to wait for a manual sync. You're just kind of entering information as you would normally do. And if you're doing it in QuickBooks, we'll see it in Method. And if your users are in Method doing it there and it has a place in QuickBooks, well, then your QuickBooks users will see that information in QuickBooks. It's two-way, so it does go back and forth, and it's automatic and seamless. So there's the learning curve on the sync is I would say minimal or non-existent, and you're just kind of working and this sync is happening in the background. And then we do have that pattern for our QuickBooks desktop sync as well, again. So just for those users that are using it in that scenario, we do have that as well. Now, once we get into Method, and this is one of the first screens that we're going to see, we like to call it our Method dashboard. For simplicity, it's a dashboard for your user, and it actually makes things a lot easier. So we found that when our users get into Method and they take that first day or so to kind of configure and set things up, their users are in there and they're able to actually just see what they need. So the various tiles that we're going to be going through today represent a user, their persona, and what they're actually out there to do as a role and in their job. And it's also a great way to grant or restrict access to various apps based on the person, their user, their rights, their job, or their role. So a salesperson versus a support person versus a manager can actually see different things on their dashboard or not see certain other areas. And that also makes it a really powerful tool, because you can actually limit some of the accounting information, all that powerful information that comes from QuickBooks, to perhaps some users that shouldn't see some of the financial and accounting information on the Method side. And then, of course, you can personalize it by the user. So each user can have a different dashboard setup, different colors, different prioritization, and it works really, really well. So just some housekeeping items that we wanted to kind of get out of the way here before we go into our story of our demonstration today. Now, the example that we're going to go through, in order to kind of paint a picture of what Method does and its capabilities, we're going to use this example of Pop and Skate. So Pop and Skate manufactures outdoor skating rinks. So we are speaking to you from Toronto here in Canada, and I know the impression is that it's very cold up here, so I thought it would be appropriate to use an example of an ice rink manufacturing company. So if you hear me say Pop and Skate often, and in our examples, that's just the example company that will be using QuickBooks Online and Method CRM in our scenario today. So let's get into the actual presentation and the product. The first thing that I want to kind of highlight here is our lead management. So again, QuickBooks does a great job of managing your customers, but in a CRM, we actually have the capabilities of managing and nurturing these leads that come in. When we say leads, we're talking about potential customers. And so one of the things that Method does really, really well is it allows you to track all these potential customers as leads, and we actually store them and treat them just like we would a customer that would sync to QuickBooks, but we hold them on the Method side until the time is right, and we don't actually send them to QuickBooks until there's an accounting reason for them to be in QuickBooks. And so with Method, you're able to automate, your lead collection, you're able to centralize your leads, have all that information in one place, and you're able to win more and more clients and hopefully convert them into paying customers. And we do that a lot of different ways. So lead entry made easy. We have web forms, which is what we're going to focus on here at the top in our first example. But if you have an Excel or you have leads coming, that you're currently managing from another solution, we can import them. Our Gmail gadget, for those that are technical, we have an API, and then also our Outlook gadget, which we'll show as well here today. So let's get into the product and start with Pop and Skate, who are our example company, going over and getting a potential customer as a lead. Now, what we're showing here today, and for those of you who are at a computer and you want to kind of see this on your own screen, and I should have made the URL a little bit more visible, this is just a sample website. So this is Pop and Skate, the company who has a sample website set up. This is their real website, but it's a sample in our scenario. And what they've done here is they've implemented a web to lead form from our CRM. So our CRM actually gives you a screen, a form that you can actually put on your website to help you collect leads and potential visitors from your website and put them into your CRM, and when the time is right, to get them into QuickBooks. So for those of you that want to see it, and before I kind of mention the address here, fill it in at your own risk here, because it is going to hit my live account, and so if you do fill this in, you will see your information on this screen that I'm presenting here today. But you can just simply go to method.me, which is our website, but /Pop and Skate. So this is the only way that I can kind of get it so that users can kind of see it, and you can, feel for it yourself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend to be a customer. So I'm a visitor of the Pop and Skate website, and I'm just going to go here and fill in my information because I've visited their website, but I'd like to learn a little bit more about their product, or maybe I want a quote or an estimate from this company. So I'm going to pretend to be Amy Smith. I'm on Pop and Skate's website, and I'm just filling in what to me looks like just a portion of their website. So 555-123-4545. I'm just going to put in my email address here. Whoops. Amy Smith @gmail.com. So this is the user filling in information here. Okay. And down here at the bottom, they have an area where they can put in some notes, interested in an estimate, or whatever information that they want to present to you. So let's go ahead here and make sure that I actually spell this email right, because that would be very important. And so Amy is submitting a form from the Pop and Skate website. She goes ahead and hits submit. And what happens next is she says, thank you for your interest. The website's telling her that someone will get in touch with them shortly. So we've now taken a visitor from the website. They filled in a form. And we're going to scroll over now, and we're going to see what happens on the Method side. So on the Method side, if I'm a user of Method now, so I'm an employee at Pop and Skate, I'm in my Method account, here's my dashboard kind of personalized and set up for me. You can see here I have various tiles and apps that are available to me. But one of the first things that happens is that we know a lot of our staff and users, they also work in their email. So in this particular example, what I'm going to go do here is I'm going to go ahead and, let's just make sure that, there we go. So we can see here that we have an email that was coming in, and I believe that it's coming in. Tested this not too long ago. I'm new to Outlook, so bear with me for a moment. This is our Outlook integration, but we can see here that as a staff member, we actually have these emails that are coming in saying, you have a new lead that has come into your system. And when we get that email notification and that reminder, there we go, it'll look something like this here. Hey, Valbon, we've just received a new lead and we're here to help. We actually see that it says you have a new lead from your web form that has come in. So it makes it really, really nice because our sales staff can actually get these notifications right away into their inbox. And in this particular example, I am using Outlook, but we also have a Gmail integration as well, and we're going to talk about these things a little bit more. But essentially, I can just click these links, see these email notifications come in, and I can choose to act on it. So if I go into my Method account and I go to Contacts here, the first thing that I'll see here is Amy Smith in my contacts list. So this is the information that we just acquired from our website. So that user that was filling in what they thought was just a form on Pop and Skate's website, what it actually did was it created an entire profile. So it sent an email to the appropriate person, but it also created an entire profile for that visitor of the website. And a couple things that I want to point out here just very, very quickly. First, we have the name Amy Smith. And it says here it will be shown in QuickBooks as Amy Smith, right? So if they had put in a company information or something else, it would be filed a little bit differently. You'll notice that it also says customer lead. Now this is really important because you can have visitors to your website that are interested, but at the moment there's no accounting reason for Amy to be inside of QuickBooks Online. So it makes it really nice that you can manage all your potential customers inside a Method and send them to QuickBooks when the time is right. And we'll talk about how that happens because there's a few automated scenarios in which that happens. But otherwise, we treat them like a potential customer and we actually see the same screens that we would see as if they were a customer, just with those flags saying they're not yet a customer. The other thing that I want to point out here is that that particular web to lead form, you'll notice that these boxes in the middle here under Amy's profile. So we have these little areas, and we call them our app ribbon because it's just displaying a lot of information from different parts of Method and QuickBooks potentially as well. So we see a couple of activities. Now these activities are really your interactions. So that's the other powerful feature of any CRM, but particularly Method CRM. You're able to track interactions the appropriate way as they happen. So I bet you if we were teaching in a live environment and I was able to see all the attendees on the webinar here today, and I'll ask the question, hands up if you or any of your clients, put in the notes and your phone calls and kind of these little interactions that you have in the notes field in QuickBooks or QuickBooks Desktop. And I imagine that at least a few hands would go up. Well, inside of Method, we track each interaction separately. So we can actually see here, this was the web comment that came in a little while ago. it was completed, and Amy said she was interested in an estimate. So that's already been done. But the other thing that's been done is we have an open activity. And over here in this part of the ribbon, we actually have a follow-up that was created for us. And if we click this, the system actually created a follow-up to the first interaction. And it's basically telling us that we need to follow up with Amy, and we need to do that as soon as possible because we want to try to win this potential sales deal. So this is an area that we can kind of focus on, and all of these activities, they have notification reminders. If you're syncing with your calendar and Gmail, you can get text message reminders as well. So when these things are due, you can always be reminded about these things when they're due. Now, this particular one is due right now because we want to act on this potential lead immediately. And so that's actually the next thing that we're going to do. We're going to pretend that we're going to have a phone call with Amy, and we're going to fill in the rest of this activity and kind of progress this deal as quickly as possible. So you'll notice down here at the bottom, we have this additional information on the left-hand side which says type. Now this is another really powerful feature of our CRM because you can not only track your interactions and your notes, but you can track the interaction type. So if we're going to make a phone call to Amy, we can actually track that as a phone call outgoing. We can track the date and time that it happened, who in terms of the method user that completed that activity, and then we can put in our notes. So these notes here are telling us why we are phoning this person, and we can certainly start to add a little bit more. Spoke to Amy, have everything we need to get an estimate, and we'll send one out. So, let's use our imagination here a little bit. That we spoke to Amy, she gave us, some information over the phone, and we have enough information to actually prepare a quote for her in order for us to, present an offer to build an ice rink for her. Now, we did mention it's a phone call outgoing, but here's the other key. A lot of people let these deals slip through the cracks, let these reminders get forgotten in this entire list of, activities and other things that they have to do throughout the day. But by creating a follow-up, what we're essentially doing is we're saying, we need to follow up on our phone call here today. And even if it's for Amy, I can assign it to myself or another user, right? So if I had another user, maybe I'm going to be away on vacation next week, or maybe it's something that another user needs to do as part of the sales process, we can do that and they get notified as well. But what I'd like to do here is I'd just like to say, hey, if I don't hear back from Amy on this estimate, I'm going to phone her, and I'm going to phone her again in about a week's time. And so we can go here and we can just say complete save and back. And the first thing that we've done is we've actually had that phone call. You can now see in this little ribbon here at the top that we have a couple of different interactions that are closed, and one is still open, and it's open for next week, which makes it really, really great. So these reminders, by the way, if we go to our dashboard and we are able to see this activities app here, we would see all of our activities that are due. So every time a user logs into Method, they'll actually see the tasks and activities and follow-ups that they need to complete on that particular day because they're due on that day or prior. So you'll never have anything slip through the cracks. You'll always have a complete history. Every time you click one of these things, right then and there on the screen, it'll say you need to phone Amy or Joe or Bob, and here's why you need to phone them. And if you need to dig a little bit deeper into their history and their profile, you can do that as well. So you really do have all the information in one place. Now, I did mention we're going to go back into Amy's profile, QuickBooks information and CRM information. So if you take a look at this app ribbon here, we talked a lot about these interactions and the notes and the follow-up so far, but you'll notice that there's little areas for estimates and invoices and sales receipts and payments and etc. So once this particular contact or lead has some of those things, or if they came from QuickBooks via the sync, we would be able to dig into the details of their estimates and invoices as well. So really, really powerful. You do see here on the right-hand side something called an opportunity, and this also was automatically created for us. It's optional, but it was created in order for us to track this entire thing as a sales deal. So for those of you who do want to see things go through proper sales stages and probabilities and have charts and reports, this is happening as well, and we'll talk about that probably in a few minutes. But let's recap our scenario. So Amy came in, she visited our website, she filled out a form, Her information came into our CRM, not in QuickBooks yet. We are able to see the notes that she put down. We had a phone call with her, and just in case we don't hear from her, we're going to schedule another phone call with her again next week, which can be canceled if we hear from her sooner. But as a result of that phone call, we wanted to create an estimate. So let's go ahead and click on a new estimate right from her profile. So the reason we're doing it from her profile is because it'll just pre-fill a few things, right? It'll pre-fill for the fact that it's an estimate for Amy. Here's her address. And we can go down here. Now, a lot of this will look familiar. If you filled out any transactions in QuickBooks Online, the process here should be very similar. I mean, you're picking essentially a customer, and then down here at the bottom, you're adding in these line items. So the actual items that you are going to quote or estimate for. And so these items are coming from QuickBooks. So these are your products and services syncing in real time from your QuickBooks accounting software. So if you have these items, your inventory or your service or whatever it is from QuickBooks, you would see those available here as well. So in my example, we manufacture ice rinks. So I'm going to go ahead and say that based on our conversation, I'm going to need some glass boards to make the ice rink, and I will probably need 20 of them. And what else I'd like to do is maybe I'd just like to have some service hours as an installation. Now we're keeping this example very simple. We can complicate it with the items and the quantities if we wanted to, but just for the purpose of showing that we can create a quote, we're going to use some boards, the glass type, and some hours to install. And down at the bottom, we have a couple of other options. If we wanted to add an attachment, we could do that as well. And then down here at the bottom, we can do a few things like save or email. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to click email. So that's going to save the estimate, and it's going to email it out to Amy. And in fact, we're going to get a confirmation saying, are you sure you want to email this out? It's about to go to Amy. You know, here's your email address. It's going to come from this email address. And here's a very quick render or sample of what this will look like. And we're just going to go ahead and hit OK. And that email should have now fired off to the customer or to the potential customer. And we get that final confirmation saying that an email has been sent. Okay. Now, I do want to point one thing out, and it's very important, and we're keeping in with that, potential and lead. Not sure if everyone can see it here, but there is a little box saying wait for approval before syncing. So our method sync is intelligent enough to understand that Amy, and if we open up this drop-down, we'll actually see it, is still classified as a customer lead. So the fact that we're creating an estimate for her, well, the system is choosing to also keep this estimate on the method side only. So we now have a potential customer who's not in QuickBooks and an estimate that's not being sent to QuickBooks just yet. Because let's face it, I mean, even though we're sending these estimates over to these potential customers, they might not turn out to be customers, unfortunately. Hopefully they will, and we'll show how we can progress that and, win as many as possible. But Method does have the ability to hold things on the Method side. We naturally try to sync with QuickBooks every single time. Everything that we do, we try to sync if possible. But in certain scenarios, we'll just kind of wait for that approval, and we'll talk about what that means in a minute. Okay? So Amy's come in, we have some interactions with her, we have a follow-up scheduled next week, we've just sent her an estimate. Let's flip gears just a little bit and talk about now what Amy sees as the customer. And in order to do that, we're going to jump back in our slides just a little bit, because we want to talk about how we serve our customers before we go into Amy and what she sees. We want to talk about the fact that we can serve customers efficiently, serve more customers, have some automated workflows, which we're going to show. But in this second point here, offering customer portals. So Method does offer customer portals out of the box, and it really allows you to be offering your customers 24/7 self-serve options to get paid faster, but also even for the smaller businesses to look big-time professional. Right? We can't tell you how many times we've received feedback where the small, medium businesses out there who are now able to offer self-service to their customers seem like they're these much larger companies in the eyes of their customers. So that's also a key feature here. And then, of course, liberating key staff. Right? Free your time as an accountant, free your time on focus on building the business, or if you're a CEO or the owner of the business, growing the business instead of doing some of these things here. And so with that, let's go take a look at what Amy, the customer, sees on her end. And so Amy is now sitting around and she's just received an email. So this is now Amy's email, and she gets an email from Valbon, from Pop and Skate, the company, with an estimate saying that it's ready. Okay, so already she's probably thrilled because the turnaround on that estimate was pretty quickly. She's able to see kind of that same preview that we saw that would be going out to her in the email, which is great. Now, these are just email templates, by the way. All of these email templates can be customized and modified. So if you don't like certain language here, if you want to change the colors or add and remove certain fields and information, totally possible. So you can adjust and customize both the email template as well as the actual print templates inside of Method, which we'll show in a minute. Now, the other thing that Amy can do, we talked about these portals. She can, right from the email, click this button, and that should take her to the portal, so her self-service portal. And that's what we're seeing here, right? So this is still Amy as the potential customer who's receiving this quote from Pop and Skate. And because she clicked a link that was specific to an estimate, well, inside of the portal, we don't just take her to the portal, we take her right to that particular estimate. So estimate 1028 for Amy Smith. Here's the information that we had. So it's a lot of the same that we, of course, entered inside of Method with our products and services coming from QuickBooks. Here's the amount. And then, of course, if Amy wanted to print it, she could. And this is where I was talking about those print templates being customizable as well. So this is just one of our basic templates that kind of mirrors some of the options that were available in QuickBooks. But you can get a little bit fancier, or you can, switch the language and add custom information or remove certain information from here as well. A lot of our customers actually have multiple templates, so they'll actually send certain segments of customers one template and another segment of customers a different template. So that's something to think about as well. Now, other options for Amy inside of the portal, just very quickly, if she goes over to the home area, she'd be able to see information that we have on file for her. So this is a chance for her as a potential customer, or even existing customers, to update their information. Maybe they get a new phone number, maybe they get some new address information, maybe they have a transaction, not the case yet, but if Amy had an invoice with us, she would actually be presented the option to pay it right from here. And all of that information would, of course, go to Method and sync to QuickBooks as well. So very, very powerful in terms of the features, the self-service features that we provide for Amy. Now, let's say that everything is great and Amy gets this email and she just replies to that email saying, everything is good, let's proceed. So, of course, this probably wouldn't happen so quickly, but we might get a response pretty quickly on saying, let's go ahead, the estimate does look good. And she just simply replies. So that's just a regular email that she can reply from her Gmail or from Outlook or whatever it is that she's using. Okay? Now, we are going to switch gears back to the Method user now. So this was a little bit about what the customers see. Now we're going to go back to Pop and Skate, and we're going to go take a look at what we see here. Now let's go ahead and look at my Outlook. So this particular company, this staff is using Outlook, and here we have the email, and we can see at the bottom here, Amy has just responded saying everything is good, let's proceed. So one nice thing that I want to point out here, now I'm just going to show off our Outlook email plugin for a little bit, but we also have a Gmail version of this, is this little M. So the moment that we get a response, if we click that little Method icon here, right inside of Outlook, a couple of really cool things happen. One, we actually have Method screens right inside of Outlook. Okay. Now this is a sample account, so it actually found two, but in a normal environment, it would likely find one. Just by clicking on that M, we're receiving this email, and it's doing a real-time lookup inside of our CRM account right from within Outlook. So this right-hand panel is actually Method screens inside of your Outlook. And we are able to see that it found two matches, and we can see this is the one that we actually want to take a look at, Amy Smith. And we're able to see a lot of the same information we saw in our CRM right inside of Outlook, because our CRM is basically now inside of Outlook. So we can see the information, the portal links, phone numbers, et cetera, address information. We can even go as far as clicking on estimates seeing the estimate. So the fact that Amy replied to this email, if I didn't know what she was talking about, I could just say, yeah, she's taking a look at estimate number 1028, and I can actually see that here in a much smaller condensed version that just showing me just the information that I need. So the total amount, the date, and the items that make up that amount. Now if I wanted to learn a little bit more, I can click this button right here, and it would actually launch Method. There's a pop-up blocker here, my apologies. But it would launch Method, open it up, and open it up right to that particular estimate. So again, you're able to do things very, very quickly. You're able to work where you want to work, whether it's in Gmail, in Outlook, or right inside of our CRM, and you're able to see all the information that you need to see. Right? So this is what makes it great, because now Amy's basically given us the green light to say, things are good, let's go ahead and proceed. So without delaying any further, I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm just going to click this little button that says Create Invoice. So we have a quote, the customer's agreeing to it, we take that estimate or quote, and we convert it into an invoice. We now have invoice number 1010 for Amy, and a lot of that information was just simply transferred over in terms of the items, the product services, the descriptions, quantities, and rates. Now, one last piece that I want to show here, and this becomes particularly important, especially when we talk about our QuickBooks integration. This is where some of the magic happens now. For the time being, this invoice is also set to have some approval before we sync. So it just kind of captured that same status. Now this is a preference. It captured that same status from the estimate, saying the estimate's not going to be syncing to QuickBooks just yet. You know, we'll convert it into an invoice. We'll hold it in Method until the time is right. We've decided to do that at Pop and Skate because we just want to have a certain staff, maybe an office manager or somebody, approve these invoices, have another quick look before they hit our accounting. But all it really takes is unchecking this box and hitting save. Now, I haven't shown QuickBooks Online yet, and that's been very intentional. I want to do this first. So here is the QuickBooks Online account that I've been syncing with. I'm going to go over here to our sales area on the left, and I'm going to go to the customers. And I just want to show everybody that we don't see Amy Smith in this customer list yet. Okay, very important that everyone realizes that Amy Smith is not there right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Method that this invoice is now ready to go to QuickBooks, and all I'm doing is just unchecking that box and hitting save. And that becomes important because we know that we can't send any transactions over to QuickBooks without there being a customer. So a lot of magic is happening there. It's actually taking Amy Smith, converting Amy automatically from a lead to a customer. Now it no longer says will be shown in QuickBooks. It says shown in QuickBooks. There's no more customer lead status because now it's a customer. And now we see Amy's full profile with estimates and invoices. And if we were to go over to the customer list inside of QuickBooks Online, I'm just going to refresh it because it was cached. It was already on that screen. We now see Amy Smith. We not only see Amy Smith, but if we click her profile, we see there's today's date, there's the invoice, and there's the invoice number, which we can click. And if we go further into the details of that invoice, we actually see it has the exact same products and services that we had carried over initially from the estimate to the invoicing method. Now, if we ever need to make changes to this, questions often come up here. If we make a change in Method or in QuickBooks to this invoice or to the customer, not a problem at all. We actually see those changes in real time. That's the beauty of our sync. So you can continue to make those changes. But the important thing there is we handle the lead inside of Method until there was an accounting reason to send them to QuickBooks. So you're never flooding your QuickBooks Online or desktop file, depending on what you're using. And we know that with QuickBooks Online, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to truly delete customers, right? Once you have a client or a customer in QuickBooks Online, you can make them inactive, which is great. But this way you're actually keeping your accounting clean with customers that need to be inside of your accounting, which is pretty great. Now, a couple of other things here that I want to focus on inside of Method. So we talked quite a bit, and apologies for going quickly. There's lots to cover. So here is our customer list. We talked about the ability to take a look at our customers, sync them with QuickBooks. Just a couple more things on the profile of Amy before we get into a slightly different area of Method. You'll notice that this app ribbon now, we mentioned the app ribbon, there is lots more activities here. So as you start to have more and more interactions with your clients, this becomes powerful because it really gives you a nice, easy way to kind of say, we had an outgoing email, so it tells you everything that you've done. We had an email that was sent out, a web comment, a phone call. We have a follow-up that we'll get reminded about, so nothing slips through the cracks. You have your accounting information here as well that you can dig a little bit deeper into. And I'm going to talk about these opportunities. So these are the sales opportunities that were, again, automatically created for us in this case. For those of you who do want to track things through a sales cycle, or some of your customers could take advantage of this maybe, what we can do here is you're seeing information about this particular sales deal. So every time you're drilling a little bit deeper, you can look at Amy at the top level. Here we're looking at one of Amy's sales opportunities. And now this ribbon adjusts to show only information related to this particular sales deal. Okay, so we can keep going a little bit deeper and deeper if we wanted to. Now, in a perfect world, in a real world, we would have progressed this opportunity through different stages instead of just jumping from prospecting to one, which indicates that I won the deal, right? So, and again, in a perfect world, we wouldn't be rushing to do this all in 20 to 30 minutes, but now you can actually save the opportunity. And the reason that I bring that up is because there are a couple of ways to convert leads to customers. One is through a transaction. So Method is intelligent enough to say, you're invoicing this customer now. You might want to convert them to, you're invoicing a lead. You might want to convert them to a customer. But had Amy still been a lead, a potential customer, while we close this opportunity as a win, Method also would have prompted you there with a little message on screen saying, well, if you just close the deal for this customer, then we still see them as a lead. You might want to send them to QuickBooks. So all sorts of areas to be prompted and ensure that you're sending things over to QuickBooks at the appropriate time, which is very, very important. And further to that, just want to kind of talk about a couple of more areas related to these opportunities. If you are using opportunities, we have reports. And a lot of our Method users enjoy these reports features because, well, they're able to see, exactly what their sales team and their pipeline and the kind of revenue that's coming in or potentially coming into the business. And you can see different users. You can actually click on the vast majority of these charts in different parts of them, and it'll show you the information that it is made up of. So if we click on Mary, the list at the bottom will change. If we click on, Val here, you'll notice that this portion of this particular graph is made up of, these 5 particular entries or sales opportunities. So lots and lots to do and to look at in terms of a visual representation of your data, and it just makes it that much easier to, stay on top of what's coming in and make some business decisions based off this. We've had a lot of our customers make some decisions based off of these charts, and in some examples, they actually choose to do some email marketing to kind of help drive more business in certain areas or certain segments of their business from Method. Now, in the last couple of minutes here, because we do want to save some time for some questions as well, what I'd like to do next is just kind of highlight some of the other parts of Method, right? And so if we are finishing off on our kind of presentation here, we talked about servicing customers more efficiently, offering portals, even for those companies that are using Method with QuickBooks, these small, medium businesses out there, to kind of liberate those key staffs, to really allow these key staff to do things that they truly should be doing instead of kind of following up with these tasks that are forgotten and staying on top of some of the staff. Also, you're able to actually offer a lot of repeat business. So one of the things about using a CRM, especially one that integrates with QuickBooks so well like Method, is you're able to actually retain customers through good service. You're able to upsell. So not that we're encouraging you to just push products and services to customers that don't need them, but you're able to use those reports. You're able to use the history. You're able to actually see the accounting information as well. And you're able to make recommendations just by simply reminding yourself to follow up with these customers once a quarter, once a month, or however appropriate it is. So every time that you have a follow-up in there or you run a report saying you haven't contacted these customers in X number of days or months or weeks, you're able to get reminded to follow up with certain customers, and you're able to then look at their history very quickly and determine, if there's something that they need or that they can benefit from in terms of what you are offering. And then also marketing to customers, right? So one of the things that we have found out here is that we have included an email campaigns option. And this works really, really well because you're able to actually create and send out emails from your CRM by using your contacts list and searching that contacts list to your heart's desire. So what we're basically saying here is if you wanted to create, in this example, a maintenance follow-up. So for all of the contacts and customers that I have out there that have ice rinks, maybe I want to send an email to just the VIPs, the very important contacts, offering them a special promo for maintenance, maybe a discount or early bird pricing. You're able to actually create an email template right from within Method. So I have one pre-created, but you can see here that you can create your own templates. Okay, so rink maintenance promo, and it just kind of has a body here and a user signature depending on who's sending it. Okay, there is a link for them to unsubscribe. So anytime that we send out these emails from Method, we typically like to include that unsubscribe option for them just in case they want to change their preferences. What we can do next is, the next step here is to just simply add our contacts, and this is what makes Method CRM so powerful, because now we can also start to add contacts. Now these are all the contacts in our system. We can see that we can tag and label them. Okay. If I search for my VIPs, which is this kind of bright red tag here that I've kind of classified certain customers as VIPs, I am able to select all of them or a handful of them, and I'm able to load them into that particular marketing campaign. The system will check to make sure that none of them have unsubscribed from marketing or that their emails are, that they actually have emails. And then I'm able to just go ahead and send out an email, right? So I can actually go here. I've picked my template, which I created by myself. I've selected all the contacts, in this case just a short number of them, which is 3. And then I have a couple of other options. I can choose to add an activity. So if I wanted to send this email but also track the fact that I sent that email to the customer inside of Method, I can do that with a little note saying email sent to offer maintenance promo. Okay. And then we can also even schedule follow-ups, which is really nice. So this is the missing piece from a lot of others, because they'll send the email out and then they'll just kind of rely on the customer to read the email and respond to it. Here we can track it, and if we wanted to, we can schedule a follow-up, which means that somebody from our team will actually follow up X number of days afterwards, which is really, really great as well. And if we just hit send email, we could have tested it, we could have done a whole bunch of things, but if we just hit OK to send it off, it would then mark those emails to be sent out to those particular customers. And that is another area where we can actually see that they have been sent, and we're really taking everything from our story of the potential customer reaching us on our website, being tracked as a lead, creating an estimate, converting them from that estimate to the invoice, sending them to QuickBooks, and then offering them additional products and services via our CRM and some of those areas there. So we really are focusing on that relationship aspect as well. And then finally, in the last couple minutes that we have here, this is the piece that potentially excites me the most about Method. So we've shown kind of some areas, again, that kind of some important areas of Method as a CRM, and we certainly didn't highlight everything there today. We certainly didn't have enough time to go through all of our apps and areas that we offer. But I did want to leave some time for the customization or personalization piece, right? And so we really allow you to adapt this CRM to your business as it evolves. It's 100% code-free. You can personalize. You have options to do it yourself. So everything I'm about to show you here today, you can do on your own. We have a full service team, so that means we can actually help you with some of this, our team here. And we actually have a wonderful group of Method partners who are involved in the Intuit and QuickBooks ecosystems that are using Method, and they are actually certified in Method and can help with these areas as well. And maybe some of you one day can be Method partners as well. So how does this work? I'm going to try to cram customization in 30 seconds because I don't want to overwhelm everybody, but I just want to show everybody the potential of customization. And so what we are going to do to show customization is, I mentioned this website at the top of the webinar, which was method.me/pop-and-skate. And this is the form that is on the Pop and Skate website that our potential customer, now customer Amy Smith, had filled in. What if we wanted to change this so that we wanted to add a custom field? Just one more piece of information here that would be super critical for us, right? Maybe in the case of building an ice rink, we want to know, how many people are actually expected to use this rink, right? How many skaters are you expecting to have? So if you are asking us to build a rink and you're saying we want to have 100 skaters at a time, we can kind of gauge and make some recommendations. So how it would work is we would just jump right into Method. We have our Web to Lead app here on the right-hand side of my screen. I would just simply say Manage. I would go ahead and customize a screen. So this is a Method screen that we're looking at. I would customize it. Okay. Here's our designer. So this is how that screen looks. I mean, here we can see this is where we have the first name, the last name, the company name, the phone, the email. I've intentionally left some space here only because I'm just going to go ahead here and add a custom field. So I can add a custom field to the table. I'm just going to cheat for the moment and just kind of make it a text input here. And I'm going to call it number of skaters. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to drag and drop something onto the screen. I'm going to save the screen. So that's kind of our designer where we drag and drop. Don't be overwhelmed by it. You'll learn it eventually. We're going to close that screen. And the other thing now is that it's still kind of in a test mode. So once I'm happy with it, right now I'm the only one who can see that. If I was to play with it, it wouldn't be available on our site yet. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make it live. So I'm going to go ahead and make it live, which means every user will be able to see it. And because it is a screen that is on the Method Pop and Skate site, we can now see right here in the middle, number of skaters is available there. So for those of you who were following along and going to that link just to prove that it's real, just refresh that link and you will see on your own computers that I've actually updated Pop and Skate's website to include a custom field that says number of skaters, right? So we can go on, and I just want to show one last example here of a screen that is pre-built. So what I'm about to show you now is not something where, it comes default from our account, but I do want to show you that there is other options which we can customize. And so I'm going to take our original screen and redirect it to something that I had pre-built. So I am being upfront with everybody here today. What I'm about to show you is just something that I prepared for this presentation. It is not offered out of the box. But imagine that Pop and Skate's website, we talked about automation and customization and workflows. Imagine now that they're able to say to their users, they're able to offer a form that actually allows them to pick rink sizes, whether they need lights, and they fill in their information here, and that'll actually not only insert them as a lead, but automatically send them a quote right away. So they don't even have to wait for an interaction from our company, because they're essentially giving us all the information they need right from this screen. Right? So again, for those of you that are following along in the webinar, just refresh your browser and you'll actually see the new screen that I have updated in the last couple seconds. If you fill it in, feel free to do so. You will affect my information here. So if I happen to show this in another presentation, I mean, at your own risk. So you probably don't put in your real cell phone numbers. But that's really the power of Method. We're taking you from everything from our lead to repeat, everything in between, and then the ability to customize Method as well, which you can do by yourself. So all that customization that I just kind of dragged and dropped, it's a little more powerful than just dragging and dropping a custom field. You can actually automate workflows as well. Now, I am going to take some time here. I know that we had Errol looking through the questions, so if you've been typing your questions, hopefully he's been answering them. I'm going to read some of them that are applicable to the larger audience and any that he's left for me to read. So we'll go through that. But I do want to show this slide as I'm reading questions. We do have a Method Partner Program as well. So for anyone who is interested and that is eligible, just realize that we have a great team of Intuit QuickBooks Pro advisors that are also Method certified and helping their small businesses out there as well using QuickBooks and Method. So just wanted to make sure everyone is aware of that. Now let's go ahead here and see if there are any questions. I'm happy to answer them and show as many as possible. Okay, so it looks like a lot of the questions have been answered because I don't see any that are unanswered. So let's go ahead here and take a look at some frequently asked questions. So some of the frequently asked questions that we get from time to time is, number one, is there a way to import information? So a lot of users who are coming to Method ask the question, I have information in another system. Can I import it into Method? So let's start with that one. The answer is absolutely. In every Method account, we have a preferences area and we have some integrations. And the first thing that you will see is our import-export tool. So this is a nice area where you can choose to import leads or any other information, like information from an Excel inside of Method, so that you can start to utilize it inside of your CRM. So that's number one. The other commonly asked questions that we get, especially when we talk about those customer portals, is these payments. So every time that I mention payments or the ability to pay an invoice, and we're really talking about Amy's ability, in this case, to pay if she has an invoice that's outstanding, like she would have now. You'll notice that we have an open transaction, so we can actually take a look at that transaction and we can choose to pay it. These payments actually sync with QuickBooks as well. So if we were to go here and click on this invoice, the way that the payments work is you would just simply have your, there's your Pay Now button, but you would simply have your payment gateway. So anytime that you are in Method, we recommend that you take a few moments to set up your payment gateway. So we have, for example, there we go. Some payment gateways that you can set up, authorize.net, for example, PayPal, Intuit, QuickBooks Payments. So if you already have some of these accounts here, you would just take that same account information, put it inside of Method, and then even your payments, when your customers pay their invoices from the customer portal and etc., would be paid and synced to QuickBooks as payments applied to a particular invoice. So again, our integration with QuickBooks is extremely tight, and we do offer those options as well. I'm not sure if there are any other questions. Those were some of our more frequently asked ones, which was the import tool, a couple about emails, and the payment gateways. So it looks like a lot of our questions were answered. And if there are no more questions, I will take a few minutes to send it back to Leah. So we have additional webinars that teach you on the product, which is method.me/support/webinars. We have an amazing help center, to be honest. Lots of short videos, long videos, articles there as well. And if anybody has any questions, I'm just going to go to the very top here. I should have included my address, my email address. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can tweet at me directly, and my email. So my email is just my full first name, balbon@method.me. So anyone who is on this webinar, if they want to reach me directly about the webinar or any questions, they can. If you have general questions, feel free to reach our team from the information on our website. They're an amazing team that I'm just more than happy to help as well.